All right. Though we have had an absence for some time, allow me to reiterate that anything heard upon the stream is not necessarily the opinion of those people present. All things within Vampire the Masquerade's Chester by Night, we love you, Ellie by Night, just saying, is regarded as something that is the opinion of the character. This is a mature role-playing game, for even though times when it isn't. Though it does contain obviously dark themes and other such. Viewer discretion is, as always, repeatedly advised. So,
how many times do you have to say that in the stream?
I'm not even going to go there. Since we are probably going to be in some level of at least viewableness, it probably should be something that I do mention the fact that the people present here, as well as one other, will be attending a 24-hour Vampire the Masquerade stream where everyone is not going to be playing who you can see here today. They will be playing other characters in another setting for other stuff, but we'll be doing it for 24 hours for the charity Bloodwise. When it comes to Bloodwise, please understand as well that we have just come out of, I believe it was Blood Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, still September.
It is still, yes. It's not quite there yet. I always forget that we have basically a couple more days. And as such, any attempts to go to things such as bloodwise.org.uk should be something you all give some look into doing. As for our own personal goals on this, we've just achieved £100 donated so far. And as such, we will be... which ones we can, donating blood. Now, considering I'm massively terrified of needles, understand I'm doing this for the charity. So, now that's all out of the way. Oh yeah, don't forget, Tuesday nights, Spelljammer, Grange Live TV. Give it a watch. Right, so, with all that in mind, who wants to be the person who gives us that recap from oh so long ago?
Let's all look at Alyssa.
Maybe we're all going to do that.
Lawkeeper, they call upon you once more.
Lawkeeper, give us the history.
They will come up with a chant.
Lawkeeper.
Okay, so in our last session, we were continuing off from a little jaunt into Lex's Velvet Glove nightclub that was being burnt down by a group of men with sort of fireproof suits and flamethrowers, and we were coming out through his little back tunnels that he has sort of round the side of the clubs. Lex was desperate to find he initially said an item, but it turned out to be a person by the name of Jennifer.
Same thing.
When he went off to the safe room, he found it was empty and Jennifer was nowhere to be found, so he came back to the coterie empty-handed, and the coterie continued down the tunnels. They then decided to head to Diamond's studio flat, which is close to Chester Uni, because it would be safe since Eaton Hall had been burnt down to the ground, and obviously the Velvet Glove had been burnt down as well, so they really didn't have a lot of options for places to hang low. Lex then let his little bodyguard friends know where he was going and asked if they'd seen Jennifer, and they had basically said that Jennifer had been taken in an unmarked black van to the Chester courts. The coterie got to Diamond's flat, put on some clothes out of her closet, and Alyssa asked for Elizabeth's mobile phone so that she could call her contact William in order to get some weapons and maybe a bit of cash in hand, because they can't use their cards. They can't use anything that is linked to Eaton Hall, because that's dumb. They clearly know. Whoever was hunting them clearly knew everything about them and where they are, and were probably tracking them on the phones that they all had, bar Alyssa, because Alyssa is clever and doesn't have a mobile phone. William basically came to the flat, or the studio, and brought a bunch of gear, but was forced to leave by Lex using his powers.
Talk too much.
There was another knock at the door, and when Diamond looked through the peephole, there was nobody there. So, in what would technically be a relatively smart idea, Lex decided to open the window to try and escape out the window, and then the room went completely silent. Nobody could hear each other. Elizabeth activated Eyes of the Beast. Alyssa activated the Eyes of the Cat. The Prince activated his weird seeing into Deathlands. And nobody could see anything, apart from when Diamond used Sense the Unseen and she could see somebody coming through the window. Turns out it was Jasper, who informed us that the place was being watched and he had taken care of some of the people that were currently watching us. It wasn't a full army or anything, but it was a good start to possibly something worse. The coterie then tells Jasper of what's happened and what they know, and Jasper in turn tells them that he believes that the people that are attacking are First Light, and it is possible that Manchester and Prince Donald sold us out. A shock to no one, really.
I wonder why.
Whilst the coterie and Jasper are talking, Lex and Alyssa go off into the bathroom and have a talk, because he wants to know what she is, and she doesn't quite know what she is either, so he asks to try some of her blood, because a vampire can very easily tell what's blood and what's fighting. So he tried, well, more than a drop of blood. He had a good mouthful of blood. And then things got crazy. And Lex was stood in a room, and the corners of the room started to break. And as this wall started to break, before him lay the cosmos. And he saw the symbol for Jupiter. The symbol for the chosen of secrets. Lex
Lies.
Lex no longer existed as Lex the vampire. Lex had then become a Sidriel exalted, a chosen of secrets, and part of Jupiter, the battle maiden Jupiter. Again, things got a bit weird, and they went out back into the hall, main room thing. And Jasper gave Alyssa a box that she said was from Godson. Didn't know what was in the box. She reached inside of the box, and like Mary Poppins, she pulled out Excalibur, which she thought she had kind of put away relatively safely in a river, but hey-oh, Excalibur does what Excalibur does. Lex, obviously not very happy with what was happening, the fact that he had just lost his religion in a way and was becoming something else, asked Diamond to change him back, because he doesn't not like being a kindred, but she said let's leave that for after we get things sorted at Chester Courts. Diamond then found a car and hotwired it so they could all drive to Chester Courts, and they all appeared at Chester Courts. And outside of Chester Courts was a ghostly legion of Romans in the area that Diamond could see and Arlo could see. Alyssa, being Alyssa, decided to go and enter through one of the first floor windows, like the weird little assassin that she is, or what she used to be anyway. And the rest of the coterie went in through the main door and found that they were caught in another maze-like situation. Typical. Alyssa couldn't get through the door that was on her floor, so she decided to go back out the window to the outside, and ended up on the ground floor with everyone else stuck in the maze. Jennifer then comes running out of a room and opens a door to the outside world, and everyone is, quite rightly, very suspicious of this, because why would Jennifer just run out of the room and be miraculously where we all were, and be able to open a door to the outside? So everyone was kind of trying to get a sense of what Jennifer was, and Lex was super protective. And in a really daft moment of not thinking, as she usually does, Alyssa accidentally called the Prince Arlo, and darkness overtook the area. And there were some screams, some terrifying, horrific screams coming from what was probably the members of First Light, as out of the darkness a male came forward with coals burning for eyes, fangs, claws for hands. This was the beast that used to be in Arlo's head, and he was now free, and I use free as a very loose term. And that is where we left off.
Okay. So, picture the scene, if you will. Around you, on all sides, is ancient wooden walls. Those that have stood for quite some time in Chester to represent the Chester courts. The floor is cold tile beneath you, and behind you is the open door to the car park, but beyond that, as pointed out before, there is darkness. Whatever it is within this area appears to be affecting, at least as far as you can see, the weather, affecting the skyline, and bringing in a horrifying blackening front of what can only be really described as oblivion. In front of you, there is a corridor. To the right of you, there is a corridor. As pointed out previously, heading right down that corridor seems to bring you out to the top part of that corridor. A maze-like situation indeed. And directly in front of you, coming out of that front corridor, again, is the horrifying representation of everything that makes a vampire a vampire. Razor-sharp claws that are dripping with red claret. Burning coal-like eyes and fangs that could lacerate and remove a head if they bit down too hard. All of you are here, but Diamond has gone. Seemingly just vanished. What is everyone going to do as this creature stalks its way into the room?
Is Jennifer still there?
Yes.
I will stand in front of her and watch the creature.
Okay. You maneuver yourself in between as this creature just... It's, again, very beast-like in its motions as well. It's sort of hunched. And while the movement seems somewhat random, it's swaying a little bit. They seem somewhat random and slow, but you've seen how fast a vampire can move. There is the potential that this thing, especially if it is in the remnants of what was Arlo, has all of the celerity to match, if not other tricks. It's almost blinking ever so slightly as it moves as well. Just kind of flickering in and out of existence.
I turn and look at Alyssa. Alyssa, say my name.
Lex?
Nothing happens.
Let us not
I don't
waste
think that's how it
time on
works.
Arlo, you are acutely aware that part of becoming what you have become was that you threw your name effectively into nothingness.
Mm.
You sacrificed your name to become what you were. You don't know much about the other types of Exalted, but you are pretty sure that that's a price only Abyssal Exalted pay.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work with you. This is my problem.
Then how do we deal with it?
Same
We've got-
way we've dealt with every problem so far.
We've got two ways we can
Yes,
deal with
dealt
this.
with every problem so far, my prince. That's what you've done, isn't it? Dealt with it. Although, they've not really been dealt with, have they? They've just been suspended in time, waiting to come back and bite you. Much like
Bite
myself.
Me. At this point, the prince is just sort of transfixed, watching very closely.
You can see in what is basically a ragged version of one of Arlo's best tailored suits, something looks like it's pressing from the inside of his chest and trying to push its way free. Looks like a male's face and fingertips as it's trying to, almost in the Freddy Krueger-like way on a wall, push its way out of him. You can't see that it has a beard, but you're pretty convinced that's Oscar.
Yeah.
This creature doesn't seem to care that there's something moving around in him. The fact that it should have easily broken his ribs or pushed past the skin means nothing to it. It just stands there and is almost amused by the fact your eyes flick to it.
I feel like we're learning a lot about you here, Your Majesty.
2 choices, guys. Prey or predator? What are we? We need to run.
Alyssa is gonna step in front of the rest of the coterie, and I'm gonna spend an essence point, and I'm gonna instantly transform into my beast form.
Okay, so Alyssa just steps in front. There's a sudden shedding of skin in what sounds like someone tearing 1,000 pieces of paper. Huge swathes of fur and muscle appear as this large leonine creature just flexes out in front. All you hear is... Oh, the little kitten wants to play.
You always were overconfident.
Yes, and I see it as something that hasn't changed.
No.
He reaches one hand up and clicks a finger, and like that, the entire room explodes into glass. Each of you lose sight of one another as you fall into the labyrinth. So, shall we begin with Elizabeth?
Yes.
You seem to be the best starter. As you come plummeting down through a eternally black sky, you eventually crash into what is, as far as you can tell, stone slabs that make up a continuous pathway. In front of you, eternal corridor. Behind you, brick wall. To your left and right, walls that are 15 feet, 20 feet high. The air is cold, if it
Is
can
there
even be
s-
described as air.
Is there a ceiling to these walls?
No. Above you is maddening blackness. To look upon it for too long, all you see is nothing. And I don't mean that as in the word, even to give it the word nothing would be putting something into it.
It's the horroring void, yes. Okay.
It is oblivion. As you look up, you look for it for a couple of seconds and you just look down because that hurts to look at.
Okay. Level 3 protein, shape change. I would like to change into an Australian great eagle and fly above the walls and find my party.
Okay? You call upon the power of your blood. And then you call on it again. And you try a third time.
Oh dear.
But you aren't shifting. You're seemingly without energy in here.
Okay, so I will start walking forward while trying the other powers out. Try to light up the eyes, try to bring out the claws, everything.
The claws, your fingernails grow ever so slightly. With the eyes, there's this moment of flicker as a sort of echo effect takes place of what was once Eyes of the Beast. But it's like that you are disconnected from something. Now, a little known fact. Kindred are dead. They are unliving.
Yep.
But at their essence, they are alive. Some would say more alive than most because they take other life into themselves. The very act of supping on blood to create vitae creates an ability to power an unliving body. Down here, there is no life. You feel that whatever sparks are held within your vitae are not there, but at the same time, because your body is otherwise dead, it still moves.
Well, with that, Elizabeth will have to go to normal tracking. Do I still have my keen sense of smell, etc.? Can I smell out the rest of them?
There is the scent of something. It's hard to say what it is. You think it's the prince. He does have a penchant for wearing certain scent-enhancing, aftershaves, things like that. You're sure you can pick out something like it on the wind. Well, the non-existent wind, I suppose. But you can't be sure. After all, there were two of them.
And I can't pick out any other scents.
Definitely not.
In that case, just trying to think what would Elizabeth would just have her vape left and her juice. Bugger. That's not really a good trial. Well, I guess it's start walking while vaping time.
Okay, you commence walking on down the corridor. I would like you at this point in time to roll me the following dice.
Yep.
We will base it upon what the sheet is, as opposed to what they probably would be via the V5 rules.
Yep.
So would you roll me your perception and your awareness?
Oh dear. Well, one success.
Do you know the worst part about only getting one success?
You're on.
It's not enough to tell you what it is, but it is enough to tell you you're being watched.
Yes.
We shall move on now to Lex.
Hello.
Lex, where you have landed is significantly different to that. You come to consciousness, you remember the fall, but as you wake up, you look around and you see white marble. Various pillars, set of wooden doors. You've been in this room before.
Yes.
There's the sound of happiness and joviality coming from beyond the doors. A party's in swing. And for that moment, it was all just a dream.
I bite my hand really hard.
Without fangs, you don't draw blood, and that's the worst part. That's how you know this must be something different, because you go for your fangs and they are not there.
Do I feel pain though when I bite my hand?
It stings, yes.
Okay, this is real. This is real. Right. I should walk closer to the door where the noise is coming from.
You walk closer to the door.
Slowly. Slowly.
It's every footstep you take echoes around the room. You have decent, loud, clacky shoes. And as you reach out towards the door, it's definitely there. Your fingertips brush against familiar mahogany.
Carefully, I slowly, almost like someone who's scared that someone's going to burn them if they touch it, put my ear next to the door to try and hear more on the other side.
Place your ear to the door. There's the low bass of what appears to be a dance track not too far away. There is the sound of people sort of singing along with part of it, the sounds of people's feet moving. You used to be able to almost sense every heartbeat within your own club. But that is a skill no longer with you.
I try to bring that snake that tells me the truth back out.
Okay, you open your mouth, and a moment later, this jade serpent rolls out from your tongue and around your ear. It hooks there for a moment, leans in, and just whispers, "Yes?"
I know that your forked tongue tells lies about Set, but now I ask you to speak the truth. Where am I, and is this real?
It looks around, takes a moment to look left, right, slithers down part of your arm. "I shall return," and just disappears from your fingertips, just vanishing the second it leaves. You take a couple of moments just to count heartbeats. It's really weird to count heartbeats.
Very unnatural, but it is temporary. It is temporary before.
A moment later, on your other hand, the snake appears and slides up to your ear. It is real, after a fashion. There is something about this place that is primordial. There is something about this place that is ancient. But as for where it is, I could not tell you. While we are of the endings, this would be the purview of those of secrets. Oh no, we are of the secrets, not the endings. My apologies, I retract that statement. While we are of secrets, clearly people know about this. Thus it is not a secret.
You speak in riddles, my snaky friend.
It is how I am made.
Indeed.
What
Well,
I will offer you is to be cautious. This place is taxing upon all who enter, even those who are exalted.
Who are what?
Who are chosen, who are given the gifts that you have been given.
My gifts came from the blood of Set. That is what my gifts are and were and will always be.
Then I hope that they serve you well. And it disappears into your ear.
Set favors the bold, and I just, with both hands, proper like Aragorn in Helm's Deep, push the door open and walk forward.
The second you do, you just see fire everywhere. The entire of Beyond is burning. There are screams now. There are people mowing others down with guns. Everything is a scene of destruction before you. The walls are peeling with blood. The entire of the pressure of the air is starting to become oppressive. You are currently unable to breathe. What do you do?
What does the fire feel to me? Do I feel the frenzy?
It feels like fire. You feel the frenzy. You feel that this is going to destroy you.
I flee. I go with the beast. If I'm fleeing, this is familiar to me. I run. I flee.
The beast is not there. As you call upon this, the beast is 100% not there. You do feel fear, but it feels more yours than it does the creature's. You slam the door closed, and just like that, you hear the sounds of dance music. You hear the sounds of happiness. You hear the sounds of enjoyment. And now we'll move on. Alyssa, when you wake up, the first thing you notice is you're looking up at stone. You're looking to the left and right of you and realize that you are in a recess in the floor. As you sit up, no longer in your beast form. Around you, there is 4 walls, a suit of armor, and a sword. You are who you are. You are definitely not who you were the last time you were here.
In that case, I am gonna go and pick up Excalibur.
Pull yourself to your feet, reach out. Take Excalibur in your hand. It feels heavy. It's not as light as you remember it. It's not as quick to move. It's like your essence isn't quite gelling with it.
Okay. I'm gonna put the armor on as well.
You place the armor on, tying it in places. It's not made for your frame. It feels like in some places it's too heavy, like it's been cut to a certain build, and just you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right.
If it doesn't feel right, then I'm gonna take it back off.
You take it back off. You put it off to one side.
And if Excalibur isn't feeling right in my hands either, then I'm gonna put Excalibur back down.
You place Excalibur off to one side. In front of you, there is a sealed door still, exactly like the dream.
I'm gonna walk up to the door and
You walk up to the door.
put my hand on it.
It's cold, it's stone, it's solid. As you place your hand onto it, you actually look for the first time at your fingers, and you'd just gotten used to seeing them look human again. But now, claw-like talons, just as before.
I'm gonna shut my eyes and I'm gonna just dig through my mind for a second, and I'm gonna seek out the voices that are there.
Which ones are you seeking?
I'm gonna guess, judging by the state of my hand, that Lion is not there.
You go reaching your mind's eye for something that starts to become a little bit familiar to you. But there is definitely no roaring creature, no proud white beast. Instead, you hear, "Welcome back." I've
Interesting.
missed you.
Have you? Have you really?
We had so much fun together.
I have not missed you.
I'm hurt.
I'd feel almost sorry for you if it wasn't for the fact that I am quite aware that this is all a mind game.
A mind game. Ah, you're telling the voices in your head this is a mind game. That. Now that is certifiable, my dear.
I'll deal with you later. I have more important things to get
I mean, feel free. I'll just wait right here, right until the next time you're hungry. And all of a sudden you realize when the last time you fed was. Your mouth is salivating. You've just remembered. You haven't tasted blood in days. You are now currently on hunger 4.
I would like to punch the wall.
Okay. You swing out and crack into the wall. Now remind me, it has been a while. Did you have potence?
I did actually used to have potence. I used to have 2 dots in potence before, it all got removed.
Then, are you punching the wall, or are you punching the wall?
Oh, I'm punching the wall.
So I will take a rouse check then, please.
Oh boy, a rouse check. Haven't done one of these in a while. Yeah!
Shows.
Oh dear!
So hunger 5.
No, it was a 1.
Yeah, that's under 5.
Oh, right, sorry.
You
Wasn't it?
smash your hand into the wall and it starts to fracture and break, but you just hear in the back of your ears, well, well, well. That didn't take long, did it? You can feel the gnawing in your gut. You can feel your muscles start to fire. You start to get this need, this unquenchable need for blood. Tell you what, Alyssa, how about we go find a back alley and you can murder a pair of people?
Not gonna happen.
Already happened.
I don't make it a habit of repeating history.
No, but you do make it a habit of playing the superhero and forgetting that you are just a baseless murderer.
So what?
So what? You killed innocent people. You snapped one of them and you turned the other into a Capri Sun.
That was your doing, not mine.
I am you. Did we not already see this with Arlo earlier? I'm just the part of you you want to pretend isn't there. I'm that little scratching, that urge to push people in the road when you go past them on the pavement. I am pilot error. I am fetal distress. I am the random chromosome. I am in all of you. Kindred are the only ones who admit it exists.
That
Don't
may
pretend
be so.
I'm something that isn't you.
That may be so, but I got rid of you once and I'll do it again.
Oh, then go ahead. Bash your head against that brick wall until I'm no longer here. You might even get through to the other side. I bet your lover's waiting for you there. How does that dream go again? Remind me.
He's not my lover.
Then start punching, little Luna. Punch, punch, punch until you change the world to what you wish it was. Keep denying me. I'm still gonna be here. Let's go look at the prince. What's the prince up to, I wonder?
Oh boy.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Soho's nice this time of year, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
A bar, unless I'm mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Quite trendy. Very, in some cases, a bit too much for you nowadays. I mean, you've gotten used to finer things. But as you come to consciousness, passed out behind the bar, after what must have been a really exciting lock-in, you realise that at this point in time, you're all on your own. Pretty face, an empty bar,
Mm-hmm.
working for a very measly cut of money, and not
Yep.
really getting very far.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to do?
The first thing I'd like to do is look in a mirror.
Okay. You glance in a mirror. It looks like you.
Okay, nothing else happening.
Nothing else happening.
Okay.
In fact, the most worrying part, I imagine, after the last few years is the fact that as you let out a small sigh of breath, it steams up the mirror.
Okay. That's. I'd say that was new, but that's not new. That's old. This is all really old. Really old.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I guess I'm going to savor this and take a walk around the bar.
Okay, you almost jovially start wandering around, just looking left and right, taking in old, familiar scenes. The feel of the leather on some of the booths, the almost weird stickiness to some of the tables that you automatically start trying to rub off of your fingers.
Yep.
The way the light plays around you. I mean, you don't know what time it is. The shutters are down for part of it, like I say, locking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all very mortal.
This isn't right. This isn't real. Because there's so much has happened since this couldn't. I'm gonna see if I can still tap in to what I knew I could tap into before.
Which version?
I'm gonna try the abyssal version. Do you want to know what power?
Please.
I'm gonna try and activate Dead Eyes.
You take a moment, almost like a child playing pretend. You close your eyes for a moment and squint really hard.
Yeah.
And when you open them, there's this blur of light, but you realise it's just because you were looking too close to the light itself.
Yeah.
You get those little spots in your eyes.
Mm-hmm. So nothing.
Nothing happens.
Well, I guess at this point, all I can really do is open up.
All right. You head to the door and sort of get ready to open. You realise the second that you do actually pull it, it is seemingly nighttime, but stood on the other side of the door, almost waiting to wrap her finger against it, is a reasonably tall woman.
Mm-hmm.
Black dress, seems to have just been out for the night.
Yep.
The blonde bob of hair.
Yep.
Just kind of looks at you for a moment and smiles.
Wow.
She makes sort of a motion and just looks and goes, kind of mouths the words, "Are you open?"
Oh, we're definitely open.
Okay, you open the door.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you open the door. She
Yep.
smiles, nods. Oh, I thought for a second I'd missed out on a good night worth of drinking.
Well, I've
Can
had
I
a good
get
night worth.
something?
Ooh, yeah. What would you like?
Oh, just what do you recommend?
I don't know. I can do a really, really good cocktail with peach schnapps in it.
You know, that sounds lovely.
Hmm?
And she walks off to the bar with you.
Yep. So I mix up a peach fuzz, which is peach schnapps, soda water, a little bit of grenadine.
She smiles, looks at it, just sort of toys with it a moment. She doesn't look like she's actually drinking anything from it. She just seems to be more fascinated in yourself. So, barkeep around here, that's an interesting profession. You must meet all kinds of people.
I do meet all kinds of people. I have met all kinds of people. This seems all too familiar, if I'm honest with you. A little bit like deja vu.
You know, I feel the same. It's like I've seen you before. She kind of dips a finger into the drink, just places it to her lips, just almost licking it away. You know, you seem like someone really quite interesting, and her eyes are just rolling back and forth over you. In life, you were quite, as I understand it, handsome as a person.
Mm-hmm.
She leans in. Can I tell you a secret?
Go on.
Do you lean in?
I've done this before.
You have.
And I don't want to do it again. Because I know where it leads.
That's fair. So do you not?
I'm sorry, miss. I hardly know you. This isn't really the time for secrets. I think I've had my fill of
She looks at you for a
secrets.
moment and activates awe.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can come to some sort of understanding. Just lean in a little. I want to whisper in your ear.
Can I contest it?
Not as a mortal.
Understood. I lean in.
She leans in and just sinks her fangs slowly into your neck. There's this burst of pleasure through your body as she drinks and drinks and drinks again, before moving her mouth away and smiling. That was delicious, my dear. Now, she raises one hand. Forget you saw anything.
Yeah. Can I get you another drink?
You know, it's getting late. I probably should get going. But thank you. I'll remember this place for another time.
Could I get your name?
Peaches.
Mm-hmm.
She stands,
I'll remember
smiles. I'm not so sure you will. She turns away and sways a little for looking back at you. Uses dominate to make you forget, and then walks out the bar.
Yeah.
This happens 7 times before you realize you're repeating the same scene of being rejected by Peaches.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Back to you. So you're stalking through this corridor. Again, there seems to be lichen and other various types of moss that are growing out of the walls. Dark stone corridor, no ceiling. You daren't look up because to stare too long into an abyss is to have it stare at you.
Indeed.
How long do you do this before you decide that walking in a straight line for infinity is not the greatest of plans?
About half an hour or so, ripping off some moss, so I've got a track of which way I've been so far before I realise there's no corners, there's no turnings, there's no nothing. This is a road for eternity.
And as you turn back, to look down the way you've just come from, you can no longer see the wall that you had your back to originally. There's just another road. One eternal road back and forth. But something's still watching you.
And I've got no powers. No, nothing really. Do I have a sense of where I'm being watched from, or
Not on one success. If you want to try again, you're welcome to.
I will try again with my measly 2 dice. Woo! 2
Two
successes.
successes this time. You take a moment, center yourself, look around. It's the walls. The walls are watching you.
The walls themselves. Well, I'm going to need a higher vantage point. I'm going to try start climbing on up one of the walls.
Okay. They are relatively smooth. There's no purchase you can quite grab onto for it. However, you do manage to find, with your mildly extended nails, you manage to find some level of purchase. I am going to need a strength and athletics roll.
Oh, yay.
It's not
So
like climbing's really your thing.
No. Usually punching it in the face or, dodging out of the way if it is.
2 successes. You do manage to start finding some purchase. After a while, you get sort of a foot off the floor. And as you reach out and reach in, you just plant your nails into the wall, and the wall gives way like flesh.
Oh, dear.
You're holding one hand, piercing flesh. It takes a moment to realize that you've done this. As you pull your hand away, you still held on the wall. You look and you can see dark, thick, viscous liquid across your hands. You hear a whispering from behind you. You killed me.
Oh, Gareth. Why now?
Why now? Why now? You just hear echoing around you. Why now? Why now? Why now? Why now? Why now?
Oh, dear. Well, definitely not in Chester anymore. Keep climbing.
You're going to stick your other hand in.
Well, I've either got the Road of Eternity or climb the wall.
All right. You reach up, plant your other hand in. This time goes through to your knuckles. You've definitely got a purchase to which to pull yourself up from, but you've dug further in than your other hand. You get the impression that that's a cavernous space in there.
Well, and pull the hand out, try to get another purchase, and look into the space.
It's the wall in front of you still looks like a wall, other than the 2 points where you've met, and it feels again like rending flesh. So as you pull yourself up a little bit, you're just staring at wall.
Mm.
There is one thing you do have that is still sharp.
My fangs?
That would be them.
Well, if you can't go through it, you can't go over it. If you can't go, I can't walk. You can't go over it. Go through it and start punching my way through. Fangs, claws, whatever I've got.
So that's a different from punching.
Yeah.
I would like you to confirm you are biting into this thing and ripping it to pieces.
Oh yeah. Full
So
gangrel
from your
mode.
current position, you reach forward and slam your face into the wall, teeth first. Now, any other asshole would break your fangs off. But this is soft as flesh. You rip into it, and you are suddenly, from where you bite in, this just pouring of blood washes over your face, your clothes, your hands. You're almost buffeted away from the wall by it, from the sudden spray. I will need a strength check.
Okie dokie. And I can actually click the dice. There we go.
One
Freedom.
success is not enough.
Oh dear.
You are pushed off of the wall. This just torrent of blood pouring down over you. You slam back in. You only manage to get like 4 or 5 feet up, but it's just enough to crack your head, and just then this wave of blood just pouring down across your body. You try to open your eyes, and all you see is dark, painful red as it starts to get into your eyes, up your nose, into your ears. You can't breathe. Not that you need to breathe. But as you're opening it, it's not one of those cases of it's going into your into your mouth, into your stomach. It's going into your lungs. It's going everywhere. You are basically being bloodboarded. I think it's probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm going to try get up.
The pressure is far too great. That is a strength check again, please.
Two successes.
Okay, you managed to push yourself to your feet and just power out and to the side. The blood just is hitting the floor. It seems like it's just eternally pouring in an almost torrential waterfall before just flowing down this road to the left and to the right. Outside from where you've actually caused the wounds, you just start to see faces pop into the wall, basically pushing themselves out. One of Gareth. One of Therese, of all people. People you know, people you've come across, their faces now slowly being superimposed into the wall as they all turn out to look at you and just as one echo, "Why now?" And then we move on to Lex.
Oh, great.
You're in this room, trapped with your own thoughts. Beyond that door, horrifying imagery. But while you're in here, peaceful, quiet.
Peace is a lie. There's only passion.
Amazing.
Bless the Sith code.
Bless it.
So probably right now, trying to figure out how to tame breathlessness and a beating heart and lungs gasping for the first time in a long time.
Yep. It's not as hard as you may think. Realizing that it's not the beast's fear, it's your own. There is a level of mastery to that. But it's been years, possibly even decades, I'd imagine, since you've not known an all-encompassing fear of fire. It's not the fire, however, that's getting to you. It's the realization that this is somewhere you considered home. Somewhere where, despite whatever debauchery went on, this was sacred to you. Actual sacred ground.
This was a temple.
And beyond that door is what happened to it. Beyond that door is your failure.
Then we must conquer the failure. What am I wearing?
What were you wearing when you came into this hellhole?
just a shirt and trouser borrowed from Diamond's thing.
Then that is what you would still be wearing.
Right. So what I'm going to do is take off the shirt,
Mhm.
rip off one of the sleeves, and try and make a little like a face cover to get rid of the smoke. And then I'm gonna put the rest over me, like a little kind of like blanket. And then what I'm planning to do is mutter a prayer, kick that door, and just run straight through it, and just keep running and running. Because there must be an
Okay.
end. There must be an end. There'll be an end.
Okay. I need you to roll me
Mm-hmm.
with no dots in occult.
Nope.
I'm going to say roll me your insight and your wits.
That's not too bad. Right, okay. Do. Oh.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Fanaticism is not always great.
You take the shirt off, wrap it around your face into an almost sort of bandit mask.
Mm-hmm.
You take a moment to steel yourself. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. You grab the doors, throw them open. There's no fire. There's no sound. Beyond that door is an empty club. Your
Test.
preparation for this sends you hurtling out into what's basically part of a wall. But as you come to that stop, you realize there's nothing. This is empty.
It's a test. Okay. Look around the emptiness.
Around the emptiness, it looks like your club. There's from here, a set of corridors that leads out to effectively the main dance floor. There's obviously the secret passages, you know where they exist. There are the back rooms of, the pleasure rooms. There are the board rooms. There are places that you have the kindred would go to relax and, be out of the way. There are places, where the kindred would go to sleep if there is some that would remain here beyond dawn.
Right, I've got a
You
theory.
head out.
Is there anything
Go on.
sharp around?
Not to hand here. But that doesn't mean you can't find somewhere in the club where there would be something.
I'm gonna look behind the bar, see if there's a knife for cutting lemons or limes or anything like that, or even just a glass to break.
So you head out into the dance floor. As you're looking around what's basically a massive open space with empty booths left, right, and center, you sort of look around. You're focused on this bar. You're heading there. You can't find anything that would be carving a lime up. But like you say, there are glasses. A majority of them plastic, but you know where the good glasses are because whiskey drinkers don't drink out of plastic.
So
You manage to get one of the tumblers. But as you're holding it, you just look over at where the DJ booth is, and stood on the DJ booth, crouched down, is Arlo. More specifically, there is Arlo, not the prince.
I walk straight over without a hint of fear. I walk straight towards him.
He's just. Bear in mind, the DJ booth is elevated, so there's a set of stairs that lead up to it. He's just dangling over the side, kicking his feet, just watching you. You start walking up with this glass. Bit of a rough night in here. Doesn't seem to be making the usual money.
It's not the money this place is really supposed to make. It is the light
No.
in the darkness.
Yes. It's a shame that torch never really had batteries, isn't it?
I would not expect an unbeliever to understand.
He kind of hops up onto the railing around and walks across the rail like a stalking cat towards you as you're heading up the stairs. No, No, I am, after all, just a heretic, just someone who has no concept of what there is beyond the veil, so to speak.
You're not a heretic. Everyone can be taught the right path to walk.
Everyone other than you, it seems.
This is a test of faith. I will find my way back. And you, creature that once was Arlo, can help me, hopefully.
Ooh, I do love a bargain.
As do I. As do I. I want it back. And you are it in full. I want it back.
You want to be what I was. You want this, and he kind of extends a hand over his face, and as it shifts and shimmers, you see it has never been documented what the beast looks like. To any kindred who you ask, it is that formless, crouching, hidden, dark recess of evil and malice. But as he extends his hand over, you can see what you imagine in your eyes is the face of your beast. It is a face that all kindred do not want to acknowledge. And he just glances at you with it. And again, a moments later returns to that of a more savage looking Arlo. You want that back?
Let us make the deal. And with that, I will use the glass in my hand, smash it against the nearest surface, and just cut into my wrist, aiming for an artery.
You smash it in your hand, open up a vein, and just start pouring
And
blood.
offer
Red
it to
claret
him.
starts. He looks down at it for a moment.
You
His
want
eyes
this.
widening.
You need this. I know it. You know it.
He leans in that little bit more. Mouth starting to water.
I offer
Then
it
he tilts his
freely.
head slightly up and looks at you and grins. I think you have me mistaken with something else.
No, you are it. You are the great hunger. I offer you
I
this.
am. Or I was. I was the great hunger. Then somebody gave me up.
And I
Somebody
welcome
threw
you.
me away.
I welcome you.
I already have been welcomed. The Ebon Dragon sees to my needs.
What is the Ebon Dragon?
The front lights of the club blink out. No, nothing else changes just then. The Ebon Dragon. He's... Are you afraid of the dark, Lex?
Why would any true follower of Set be scared of the dark, which is the light that terrifies us?
I don't mean the nighttime. I don't mean the dark where the stars glitter. I don't mean the dark where the moon shines as a reflection of what could have been. I mean the dark.
How could I be afraid of something that I do not know?
The next set of lights blink out.
Now, creature, this could be
Because
one of two things. Either I am bleeding out here, so I shall wake up in the real world, or this is all one of your parlor tricks.
I mean, it could be. He places a hand very thoughtfully to his chin, almost mockingly. It could be. Or there is a third option.
Which is?
You're going to bleed to death here and now.
If I am not a chosen of Set, if I do not walk that path, there is no reason in living.
There's always a reason to live.
Enough riddles. Arlo, not was, what not no longer is. I want this deal. I want what's mine. I want it back. Can you give it to me?
I want it all. I want it all.
I don't
I
want it
want it
all.
all,
I
and
just
I
want-
want it now.
I
The
want
next set
it.
of lights blink out.
I want it, not all. It.
You want it.
I want the beast back. I want what I was to be back. I don't want these lies and these tricks. I want what I was.
The beast leans forward, just gently in at the side of your ear as though it's going to bite down on your neck.
Tilt my head.
It leans up to your ear. No.
And as soon as he says that, with a scream of rage, I try and slash him with the bottle, with a glass in my hand that's smashed. Just angry, just like ah.
You reach your hand out and smash onto him. I would like you to make me a
I'm not very good at
melee
this. I'm really not very good at this.
plus dexterity. Actually,
that's
I believe
okay.
plus strength, sorry.
Oh god, that's one dice.
That is.
That's not even a pass.
The glass makes contact, and the second it does, he still just looks at you. It hits the side of his face and shatters into tiny little shards, almost like snowflakes, that go straight across his face and onto the dance floor below.
I just stare, just not expecting him to kill me. I just stare at him with outrage.
He sits himself down, places both knees facing you, cups his hands into his lap, and just looks at you for a moment. Then looks at the wrist, and looks back at you again. I'd see to that.
It is obvious you're the beast of a toreador. How you play with others.
If only I was anymore.
No, you belong
see-
to the Ember Dragon.
I belong to the Ebon Dragon. The next set of
Ebon?
lights blinks out, and you realize that you are effectively one set of lights away from this darkness being on you. And as you glance off to the side and look to the dance floor, there are things moving in the dark. He then leans in a little deeper. The part that amuses me the most is that you have basically slashed a major artery, bled out the majority of your blood. You have spoken of deals, you have spoken of requirements, all in selfish measure, and completely forgotten that your friend is in here somewhere.
We must all make sacrifices in the name of Set.
And you are sacrificing her.
She would understand.
Would she?
Yes, she is also on the path. She would understand.
Let's
Oh, it's so-
propose for a moment, as a theory, that you're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Hard as it may be able to believe, maybe Set is dead.
Don't you dare say that.
Oh, that sounded so adorable from somebody who's losing consciousness.
This is just a test. Your lies a test. Test of faith.
I think the test might have been failed already, my friend. Let's take an assumption, just for a moment, that there is no Set. That he was dealt with years ago. I don't deny his complete existence. But that others of a greedy race of beings, sound like anyone you know, may have dealt with their own ancestors in a very divisive and decisive way. Now let's posit for a moment that maybe others have taken upon themselves with their abilities to control the mind and to work with the presence of will to convince people that there is such a being. And let's also posit for a moment that in doing this, they have tried to seize power from people who are so small, such tiny points of darkness. If all of that is correct, then right now, your very mortal friend is in a lot of trouble. And you're happy for that to be the case.
The truest shine of faith is when all of others preach lies around you and try to convince you of the truth, that you stick to your ultimate truth.
You know what? You're quite correct. So do you know what else?
What?
I'm going to stop trying to convince you.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you see for yourself. He leans back, stands up, and hops off into the darkness, slowly walking away as spectral dancers in the dark, just shadows, start moving back and forth as though they are in some sort of eternal rhapsody. You're pretty sure you can pick out the shadow player taking place ahead of you to be one of those last scenes you saw of the club before everything went wrong. Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
You are very hungry.
Yep, that's kind of
What are you
happens when
doing
you hit
about it?
over 5.
What are you going to do about it? You're not through the wall. You've made a good dent, and a couple more hits will probably do something to it. But you're definitely not through yet.
Is there anything else in the room other than myself, Excalibur, and the armor?
No. 4 walls. Well, 3 walls, 1 door. Roof. The sort of coffin like shape that's in the floor. You and your beast. That's all that's in this room.
At the door, can I sense or smell anything in particular?
What abilities? You didn't have any heightened senses as a Nosferatu, did you?
No.
You could always call upon the blood and enhance your senses. It's up to you. Failing that, I would say perception and awareness.
Okay, I'll do a perception and awareness.
Difficulty's high.
Lose this every time. Perception and awareness. Where is my awareness?
First
Game.
column. Third down, first column.
2 and 5. Nope.
There were 2 successes in there, actually. I'm sure I saw a second. I saw a 6 and a
There's
10.
There's a 10. It's 2 5s, a 3, a 4, and a 10.
I understand. I also think we've lost somebody.
We lost
I
Alan.
assume
Yes.
it was
Oh,
Arlo,
damn.
because everything
Yep.
looks like it's falling to pieces. You try to draw in your muscles and motor settings are already covered with memories of Luna, but nothing. Welcome back.
Cheers.
You don't pick up any scent. Well, no, that's not true. You do pick up the slightest hint of blood beyond the door.
I'm going to move away from the door, and I'm going to move towards Excalibur, and I'm going to pick Excalibur up,
Yep.
and I'm going to take it with me back to the recess in the floor.
Yep.
I'm going to lay back down in the recess,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to stab myself with Excalibur.
You're going to stab yourself in the chest with Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask, before we continue with that path, what your end goal is?
Put myself in torpor.
You're pretty confident that Excalibur is not going to necessarily put you into torpor. At least not in one stab. It'll take a few.
Yeah.
That's
But between me stopping myself and the beast and the hunger, and me breaking through that wall and killing somebody, I would rather put myself out of commission than kill another person to feed the beast.
So you'd rather kill yourself. Is that the case?
Yep. Between me and killing someone who, I don't know who's on the other side of that door. I don't know if anyone's on the other side of the door. But as far as I'm aware, they don't deserve what would possibly happen to them if I break through.
Interesting. There are some who say it would take willpower to do that. There are also some who would say it would take willpower to live and push through. I'm going to ask you now, do you want your willpower roll to be that if you fail, you cannot do this task? Or if you succeed, you cannot do this task? Let's ask the big question, and this is why I make the declaration right at the start. You're advocating suicide. Does it take more willpower to live, or more willpower to do the deed?
Depends on the context of what you're doing.
Which is why I'm asking you. Either way, a willpower roll is being made.
If I roll and it fails, then I cannot go ahead with it.
The samurai's way.
Yeah.
All right then. Roll it.
One success.
That isn't enough. I'd have needed 2 at minimum.
Yep.
You kneel in the crevice, holding Excalibur. You actually bring it so the blade tip is at your chest. You hold on to it. Take a couple of deep breaths for what the breath you need. There isn't any. And you go to push it in your chest, but at that last second, the second it makes contact and the pain begins, you stop. It's one thing to put yourself into torpor. It's another to end your entire existence. You do not know when you'll wake up. You do not know if you'll wake up. You do not know what you are in, whether this is a dream, whether this is some sort of dark prison, whether this is the labyrinth, or whether this is just a fucked up part of your own brain. But it's real enough that if you killed yourself, you wouldn't see anyone. You would lose what little joy there is left in your life, and there is some. Death is a great adventure, but it is always the final one. And you cannot bring yourself to take that first step on the road. So what are you going to do instead?
I am going to put Excalibur back next to the armor.
Okay. You place it there reverently.
And I am going to stare at both Excalibur and the armor for a moment and try and sort of almost steady myself. Try and bring myself back to a balance where I can think clearly again, even through the haze of the hunger.
Roll me your perception and wits, only because your perception in this is your resolve.
Perception and wits. 6, so 4. And
One success,
2. 2 success.
2 successes. You look at the blade, you look at the armor. They're not built for you. They're built for someone else. You know that someone existed eons ago. But at the same time, you have worn them. You remember the time when you wore them. Because even though you are powerless or you are back to what you were, it has not erased what has happened. They do not fit, but they are yours.
I am once again going to put the armor on.
Place it on. It is again cut for a different body.
And I'm going to pick up Excalibur.
It still remains heavy in your hands.
And I'm going to make my way back to the door. And I am going to finish breaking the door open.
With what?
Excalibur. I'm thinking back to that time, the dream that I had the last time where I used Excalibur to break open the door.
Arlo,
Yep.
you've gone through this 7 times, and each time you've woken up, and this is the first time your brain has connected that this is a cycle of repeated rejection.
Mm-hmm. It's a repeat of failure.
It is a repeat over and over again of an event that didn't happen because you remember being embraced.
Yes, I do.
And now you're being used, drank from, and discarded.
The last thing that I ever would have wanted.
Correct. What are you going to do? You've come to consciousness behind the bar.
I know what I'm going to do. So, I wake up from consciousness behind the bar. I dust everything off, make everything look really quite nice. Like
Mhm.
not like there was a lock in and people were drunk and stuff got moved around the night before. Just really quite nice before I decide to open up.
All right. You do hear this time the rat-a-tat-tat of someone knocking on the door
Mm-hmm.
before you go and open it. Are you actually going to open it when it rat-a-tat-tats? You're still cleaning a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You open the door.
Oh wait, I open.
The
Yep.
same woman enters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Were you open? Are you open? Have I disturbed you? Sorry.
I take a slight bow. Yes, of course we're open. Come on in. Take a seat. What can I do for you?
Just a drink, if possible, please.
What kind of drink would you like? We've got a very, very extensive menu. And I pop by the bar, whip round, give her the menu.
She takes the menu, looks over it, places it down. Again, seems to just be looking up and down you. Surprise me.
I mean, I could always get you something off the menu. Pop out the back.
Like I
Come
say,
back with some.
surprise me.
Surprise you.
Hmm.
Surprise you. I go out the back. And I take a bottle in my hand.
Okay.
And I smash it against the bar counter out the back.
Okay.
And I slash my wrist open.
Okay. You feel the sudden pain as your blood starts to seep away.
And I walk back out. And I tell her I've very much got her something off the menu.
She looks at you for a moment, her eyes wide before looking down at the wrist. She leans in and just takes your hand up and just places it to her lips and just starts drinking. And drinking. And drinking.
Can I tell you a
She
secret?
seals the wound. She looks up curious at you.
This was destined. This was always going to happen. You and me and you in this moment.
Roll me manipulation.
Yep.
And insight.
Okay. Where's insight on this?
Middle bottom.
So it is, yep. Okay.
They're D12s.
They're D12s.
Yeah.
You know, if you just click on insight on the dice, it should just roll the insight, and then if you click on manipulation, it should do the same.
So it should, yeah. Hold on. Insight.
2. Five total.
Dang, son.
She just looks up at you, her eyes softening ever so slightly. Perhaps you're right. Maybe this is destiny. I mean, she looks outside, and at this point in time, you hear fireworks go off.
Mm-hmm.
What year is it, Arlo?
1999.
Not anymore.
Nope.
She leans in and whispers, "Everybody really close now. But destiny or not, I'm going to need for you to forget all about this. And you are put into dominate. Five successes is good. It's not enough.
Holy okay.
She leans back. She's sealed the wound on your arm by licking across it. Turns and leaves. And then you wake up behind the bar. Frustration kicking in.
Yep.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
These faces are looking down on you. Some horrified, some bemused, some angry. Each of them just still whispering that same phrase. What are you going to do?
Well, I've got a river of blood, effectively. So I'm first
Yes, you
going to
do.
drink to see if I can activate my powers using it.
Interesting. You lean down, scoop some of this blood up and start pouring it into your mouth. It hurts. It burns. It's not destroying painful, but the first mouthful you are racked with absolute agony. But you're also racked with vision. There is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who is in a large, open, desolate landscape, looking down what looks like over a cliff around the area. Messy, tangled hair, completely nude. Looking around, you actually get the distinct impression that clothes might not have been invented yet.
Oh.
Her head turns to look at you, and she is impossibly fearful. To look on her is actually to suddenly stutter back as you get a sudden name go through your head. Inoia. That is Ennoia for our lawkeeper.
Oh dear.
To you, Amy,
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, you are staring upon the face of the antediluvian of Clan Gangrel, whose children include the following: Enkidu, Gilgamesh, Ereshkigal, and Odin. Her father was Adam. Her mother was Lilith. She points an accusing finger towards you. and then melds into the earth, becoming the earth. And by that, I don't mean a part of.
She is.
There's a sudden realization that you actually now know where Clan Gangrel's Antediluvian is. Clan Gangrel's Antediluvian is the planet Earth.
She's Gaia.
You snap out of this vision and realize just whose blood you've just been drinking.
Well, Smeg. Sorry, Mum. On the plus
No
side.
response.
On the plus side, can I know protein shape change to get the fuck out of here?
Not really responding still. And again, that's just blood right now.
Mm. Right. So I've got no out.
The wound is still open. It's just that blood can go in two directions for infinity.
Mm. And now, knowing what I know, do I really want to try this? I haven't got a choice. Go for the hole again.
Strength check. You're now fighting a current. 2 successes. You claw your way partly up the wall, looking for a point where you could find purchase once more. Where you've torn with your fangs is too vast. It seems to be pouring too much blood onto you. The spots where your hands, however, were are a little smaller. They do not appear to be pouring just as much. You reason you could probably climb into them and keep digging through.
Yep, pretty much what Elizabeth's going to do. Keep going.
One more strength check.
Well, my dice hate me. Can I use the
You-
willpower to re-roll that?
Can certainly use a willpower to reroll that. 2 successes. Initially, there's this sort of half push of vitae and blood that throws you almost back, but you grip on, not being defied. There's this little slight burning now to your vision. Just a pure, I'm done. And you drag yourself into this wound, step by step, pulling forward, ripping into the flesh, until eventually it stops becoming flesh. It's dirt. You start digging and digging, shoveling this behind you. Thankfully, you don't need to breathe or this would be over really quickly. As you start to pull yourself into what is almost a magnetic feeling of up. You drag and drag, pulling this dirt to one side until eventually you crest beyond it and pull yourself out into an open... Lex, where were we with you?
I was waiting for the end, I think.
What's going through Lex's mind right now?
Acceptance, a strength of purpose, a realization that maybe he's wrong deep, but he's trying to keep that deep down and ignore the doubt.
But it is there.
It's always there, no matter how much we try. There's always that voice.
And regardless of that, you are still... You've made your bed. You're lying in it.
Lex's faith is strong, and that's all he has right now.
Roll me a willpower check.
Where do you find willpower on this?
Willpower will be on page 2.
Page 2. Oh, I've got none according to this.
None. Oh, we'll change that.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Five,
Also, I
right.
would say, the more I think about it, actually, you're probably there as well.
Thank you.
No successes, or was that 1 and a 1 defeated it?
Oh, that was accident. Sorry.
Okay.
That was a proper one.
3 successes.
That's the first success I've had all night.
Faith's a weird thing.
It really is.
Some say there is no God. But there must be in the world of darkness, because that is how you all came to be. That is your curse.
Oh, blessing.
Some say that if there is a God, all gods must exist. As long as there is faith to power them, there must always be a God to receive it. And some say that aspects of certain gods transcend. This is the first time, Lex, you know the answer. And you reject it. You know, deep down in your heart, that Set is gone. The serpent has passed. But your faith, your willpower says no.
Lies. It's
He
all lies.
exists. And at the end of the day, Set was but a vampire. What answers next will take the face of Set for you. All of a sudden, there is this dissipating sight as things just fade away in the darkness. The different dancing shadows are gone. And a well-tailored, well-dressed man steps away from the bar, holding a glass in his hand, and walks out of the shadows to you, raising it up and taking a sip. His hair is short and black. His suit, impeccable. The grin on his face is quite mischievous. Well, you didn't like what he had to say, did you?
I found his lies most offensive.
People used to find mine quite offensive. Well, they say lie. In reality, all it was metaphor.
Some people are too blind to see the truth when it is spoken to them in a nice riddle.
Raises a hand. Exactly. Finally, it's been aeons and someone gets it.
It is my honor to get it, Mr.
Lucifer.
I'm sorry, what?
Lucifer. Morningstar.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to be met. My brother said that you guys would have some problems.
Your
It's
brother?
very rare that he comes. Michael.
I see. Can I look at the. I see his glasses full. So
His glass is actually still full. It's got a very nice looking whiskey in it. It's one of the nice glass tumblers you usually keep.
I would offer you a drink, but you already have one.
You keep a fine selection. Starts walking up the stairs towards you.
It is quite a compliment from someone with such refined tastes.
He plants himself down just across.
Is it polite to bow in your presence, or is there etiquette that needs to be done here?
Oh, just waves a hand off. Oh, you've done enough.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Morningstar.
I mean, it's been a while since I've been a serpent, but I appreciate the worship.
But you were the first serpent. The serpent that caused it all.
Well, all I did was teach a bunch of monkeys about... He just raises a glass and chuckles a bit. I'll tell you the whole story. Basically, you know, the whole heavens, cosmos, and everything else.
Yes.
You know Adam and Eve?
Yes.
You know
Well,
how
not
people say
personally.
well, you know how they say that they were just monkeys, and how modern science basically says that it's not, you know, they could never have been like that kind of a civilization.
Yes.
He leans in a little. They were right.
Oh.
Big guy makes two people to go out and wander around, but he just knows how to make animals, basically. So
how did they
Took
go
my
from
brothers
that
and-
to this?
I lied to him.
Ah.
Basically, think of it this way. What is lying?
Withholding what you don't want someone to know.
No. If I tell you that this glass is as clear as a crystal, this glass is crystal-like. It's
That's
not. It's glass.
But there's a
It's a metaphor.
half-truth there.
Correct. So, down come Adam and Eve, the garden, all the rest of it. You realize at this point in time while he's talking that the lights are flickering, but they are not turning off. It's like something's holding it back.
I think I know what.
So yeah, basically, Adam and Eve come down, and all of my brothers and sisters, basically, we all loved them. I loved them. They were Dad's creation. But basically, Dad said, "We're not allowed to interfere. Don't mess the petri dish up."
I see.
So all of my brothers and sisters start trying to do things from, you know, creating beautiful sunrises, letting music flow through the trees, creating such glorious things. Do you know what Adam and Eve did?
I'm guessing they learned what their genitalia were for.
Pretty much. They then proceeded to just take a crap in a corner, started rubbing up against the trees, and started picking all the things that were making that weird noise.
That sounds like the apes.
Yeah, they were animals. So I went down and taught them what a metaphor was.
That must be quite a challenge.
No, really easy. To be fair, they didn't have the brain to really stop me teaching. But when I taught them, you know, that a sunrise could be like a river of gold, every other angel in heaven got the panties in a wad and said I shouldn't have been interfering. Hence, I lied to humanity.
Humanity spends most of its life lying to itself now.
Exactly. And apparently that's all my fault. And then that bloody Cain shows up, and the rest of it's, yeah. You know, we didn't actually know anything about how to kill things till he showed up. Angel fights, really simple. Me and Michael had a good scrap, basically in front of all the monkeys. And once we battled back and forth and we knew who was going to win, we stopped because we knew who was going to win. We didn't know what killing was. Then that guy shows up, caves his brother's head in, all of a sudden every angel knows what killing is.
And then you led a war.
I didn't lead a war. All I did was basically just keep an eye on the monkeys who wanted to carry on learning. And then, you know, my brother gets his panties in a wad. And again, here we are. Either way, not on the point. How can I help? You've been calling for a while. I need to know.
It is easy to say right now that Mr. Morningstar, a mist and fog is raising from my eyes, and I finally see the truth of what I was looking for. It's not you that can help me, it's me that wishes to help you. I think
Then don't die here, dummy.
I'm not trying to die, I'm trying to live. I'm trying to be back
No,
where I
no,
was.
you're trying to die. You're trying to die and be a walking corpse.
That was the form set blessed me with.
No, that is the form one of Cain's children who robbed my shtick blessed you with. Why do you think so people are so much scared of the light? Morning Star.
Yes, that is true. We have well, I say we. Well, I'm no longer that, but the light was never what we favoured. It hurt us more than the others.
Exactly. And again, that's more bad press. It's the flaming sword that's the problem. But no, I'm the one who gets it because the name's Morningstar. So obviously I'm the sun. I'm not.
Listen,
He's not anymore. He takes a big swig of his drink.
then it is simple then, and I go down to one knee in front of him, not like the kind of proper like knee bowing to a king, and I bow my head and like I wish to serve you. Then I wish to be your chosen. I wish to go forth and preach your will.
Just keep doing what you've been doing. That's all that matters to me. But accept what you now have as well. You've got something that we've not seen in aeons. And to be honest with you, that power will serve me better. Just don't go suicidal on me. You've no idea how hard it is to find people who actually get it around here. And the last thing we want is you ending up in some sort of dark, dank hell. Trust me, I've been. When the world's basically at the stage where it's on its end and on its knees.
I then stand up. I look at him, and I have my own leg screen and smirk and go, "There is one more thing you can do while you're here.
Go on, I owe you this one.
I've never fucked a devil before."
Well, my dear, runs a hand around your shoulders. You have some decent rooms around here, right? And you walk off into the shadows with him.
Yep.
Alyssa. You cave the sword into the door again and again. You still feel the hunger gnawing at you, but every strike seems right, seems purposeful, seems to be pushing for something. Eventually, even water breaks down a mountain, and the door caves. Takes a lot longer than you'd have liked, but it does cave. Your arms are tired, your legs are tired, and in front of you, there is a dead man that looks like he has blood pouring out of his neck. Something has killed him. You think you know what, because the man in front of you used to be you. What do you do?
I move with caution. I have Excalibur ready at any moment to defend. And I am going to move down the corridor.
Okay. You enter obviously into the main room. You see the additional rooms that there were before, all the doors still sealed. Just that one door that's been opened. Of the person in question who came out of it, there is definitively no sign. But in front of you, there is the body. It is seeping blood everywhere. Make me a willpower check.
2 successes.
You don't have to drink, but you want to.
Are the eyes of the body still open, or are they?
He's face down.
Can I turn
Whatever's
him
come
over?
at him's come at him from behind.
Can I turn him over, please?
You roll him over. His eyes are closed. You get the impression he was waiting for it and didn't react when it happened. You do know that in his back there were holes from what looks like arrow wounds.
I am going to move the body from essentially the middle of this room, and I'm going to move him to the side, and I'm going to arrange him in a respectful way. So basically I'm just going to cross his arms over his chest.
You're placing him in basically his tomb.
Yeah.
Okay, you place him in there. You effectively lay him to rest. What next?
Going to continue out of the room, basically eyes peeled, looking for any one or a way out.
This particular tomb appears to have been designed to imprison as much as it was designed for anything else. There is no way out of here that you are capable of seeing. Not as what you are. And you spend time, you check every corner, check all the doors, check in the other tomb, which is surprisingly incredibly empty. Although you do see the cracked parts of that door and the symbol of what you would recognize as the Eclipse Cast shattered to pieces. Eventually you find your way back into the tomb you started in, because there is no other way barring pounding into some of the other tombs.
Yeah.
And you, unless you really want to, it's a dangerous mix if you do, though. For reference as well, as I
Yeah.
probably should mention, in that particular room for the other doors, there is a sunburst, a golden disc, an empty ring, and what looks like a disc with sort of a D cut out of the bottom.
Yeah.
There is also a mark of Jupiter.
I would like to go back to where the blood was.
The blood that's currently just on the floor, yeah?
Yes.
As opposed to the blood that's still in the body of...
Well, I wasn't sure if drinking from the body was a good... screw it, yeah. Let's just go back to past me.
Okay, you end up heading back to past you.
Past me. And I'm gonna kneel down next to past me.
Okay. Yep.
And I really hope this works. And I'm really sorry, past me, but I really need to get out of here and save my friends. And I'm going to pick him up. And I'm going to bite into his wrist.
The taste of the blood of an exalted defies description. As it races into your body, you suddenly feel the armor change shape around you until it fits your form. You can feel Excalibur lighten as the essence of this creature in front of you starts to give you power. Do you drink enough, or do you drink it all?
I drink it all. I need that power to save my friends.
You sup every last drop. And once your hunger is finished, you continue to drink. And in every second you do, you start to see flakes of skin peel away from you, revealing smooth hands. You see glowing blue tattoos start to just burn and manifest up your arm. There is a pure silverish light that starts to bathe the room as you drink and drink and drink your fill. Until eventually the armor doesn't weigh anything, the sword doesn't weigh anything, and the glowing light around you starts to illuminate things. Your eyes automatically seem to shift across realms until you can spot the portion of the Umbra you can walk out from.
I'm gonna gently lay the body back down, and with Excalibur I'm going to essentially give like an honor salute and thank the past version of myself for giving me the strength to do what needs to be done. And then I'm gonna head out, and I'm gonna head into the Umbra to get out of here.
You sidestep into the Umbra and basically fade away from this room. And now we will see if the prince has what it takes to get out of his.
Okay. So same situation, yeah?
Yes. You've just
Wake
woken
up.
up behind the bar.
Mm-hmm. This time, I feel resolute, and there's only one thing that I haven't tried yet in order to break out of this cycle. One thing, and it's a thing I don't want to do, but it's a thing I might have to do. So before I open up, I snap the leg off of one of the tables,
Okay.
and I take a knife out from behind the bar,
Okay.
and I sharpen the end of it.
Into a stake.
Yep.
Okay. So you take a few moments, prep that up. You hear a tick, 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 tick on the door.
I open the shutter, and as soon as I
Very
see her,
familiar. Mm-hmm.
I attempt to jam it through her heart.
I mean, there's a door between you and her initially. I'm assuming you're letting
So-
her in first.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'll open the door up.
She comes in. Are you still open? And she gets that far before you jam this directly into her chest. She definitely wasn't ready. There was no way she could be.
No.
She just looks at you from her eyes wide, fangs suddenly popping, before she just falls backwards.
Sorry, Peaches. I fucking loved you. But I can't let this happen anymore.
There's a weird scratching in your brain. Like something trying to come out.
I try and pay attention to it.
How did Peaches stop being in your life?
She was, well, as far as Arlo is concerned, she was murdered by the Ventru.
The Ventru.
Yeah,
How did the Ventru murder her?
they drained her of all of her blood. They made it look like they fit her up. They made it look like it was an accident to everyone, but the vampires in Soho, we knew what had happened.
That she'd been diablerized.
Yeah.
The Ventru did this. Those with the Master of Dominate.
Mm-hmm.
The scratching grows louder.
Tried to control everything. That's all they ever did. And then my hell here must be being controlled. Made powerless to do anything. I feel like I know how she felt.
You notice that the cycle's still going. You haven't changed into the next one yet. She's still on the floor. She's still staked. You've been here before, Arlo. It was always going to be the person closest to her. That's how they caught her.
Fuck.
You're starting to realize that some of those memories that were dominated away from you are starting to return. Are you going to finish this and break the cycle?
I have to. I had to. I always had to. I thought that it was destiny for us to be together, but apparently this was
You
it.
start having a moment's thought back to the beast, and now that you think about it, was that Oscar trying to claw his way out? Or was it somebody else? No, you couldn't tell the features. They were covered by skin. You realize that you have fangs. You didn't notice until now.
The only way that I can break the cycle is not to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. But she can't drag me into this.
Are you going to drink from her, or are you not, Arlo?
I'm going to drink from her.
You bow your head down and start drinking. And drinking. And drinking. Do you take her life?
I take her life.
Do you finish the job?
I don't diablerize her.
Why do you not diablerize her, Arlo?
Because it's never how it should have been.
Because they need a body.
They need a
The
body.
lights start to fade in the room, painting a sort of almost spotlight on the scene before they wink out. The spot that all four of you wake up in is not the courts. It is just off of the grounds of Eaton Hall. Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
as you dig your way out into the open air, and out comes Alyssa moments later, stepping out of the Umbra through the very same hole. And Arlo, you didn't even realize you were climbing, but you have made your way out of the same. And Lex, I'm not describing how your scene went, but let's just say afterwards, this is how you end up here.
Totally worth it.
You all are stood. Well, you're all sort of sat in the grass. A weird sort of moment coming over all of you. And then you realize that you're not on your own. Stood about 10 feet off to one side. There's a man in a trench coat. Michael Godson. Whose name is probably a little more on the nose for Lex than maybe Lex would have liked now.
Yeah.
That's just, too obvious.
He looks amongst you all, takes a cigarette out of his mouth. I think we've got some discussing to do.
Do I have?
And that's where I'm ending it for tonight.